us. All right, so we'll go ahead and tackle the first thing, our landscape survey update. And it's unfortunate that I have to report that we did not get as much response as I was hoping we were going to get from the community. So we have about 4 non-practice surveys respond, and most of those, if not all of them, were from this group, which is great because we do need the feedback. I think it'll be easier to compile information for filling out the survey, but I was hoping to hear more from the community. And I don't know if it was, because it was close to the holidays or nobody wanted to fill out the survey or not. The larger community call was really, really great about trying to promote it. They brought it up on every call after we released it, and we had it released the whole month of December. So I'm, trying to decide if we should release it for another week or two and see if maybe the response we get is better after the holidays and people are a little bit recharged. So I wanted some feedback from the group on that. Okay, yeah, could somebody message Piper, let her know that we are talking? I think she's maybe having some problems on her end. Oh, thank you, Layla. So anyhow, thoughts about that. I guess another thing I could try to do to promote it is talk to some of the individual working groups. I did go to one of the vocabulary calls and promote it there, and we did get feedback. Andrew Williams has worked with groups that are working on surveys, and they would actually prefer to come talk to us instead of doing the survey. So that is an option. And I think that will be helpful, but I'm just trying to figure out if we can try to get more information, that we can compile. So anybody have thoughts on, releasing the survey again for a couple weeks this month?
I think that's a good idea to announce that the survey's still open. And maybe if we know I don't know if we know anybody who's actually done survey things in OMA, but maybe we can ping some people directly to entice them or bug them.
Yes. Yeah, if anyone knows anyone outside their projects, they can ping. I do appreciate those of you in our group who have filled it out because, again, it's just helpful to get that information compiled. But yeah, I'm all for pinging anybody else. Thank you, Eddie. Any other thoughts or suggestions?
Nicole, Oh, go ahead.
I'm going to say, are there any other listservs maybe to consider, like something through, NIH or NCI or other groups that they have survey researchers? Because maybe also it's just there aren't that many Odyssey community members who have worked with surveys so far. Could be another issue we run into.
Yeah, I do like that idea. We certainly have like data science listservs, and I'm sure I could find out some others or at least get it released within our group, which is our division is the Division of Cancer Epidemiology and Genetics. Sorry, I always call it DCG and then I forget what it stands for. So we could certainly release it to that group. Now that you mention it, I'm pretty sure I might have forgotten to send it to the Cohort Consortium group. So I'll check my emails, but if I didn't do that, I will also do that. So that's a good suggestion. Thank you, Brandy. And then Piper, did you have something?
So Nicole, I'm sorry, my audio wasn't working at when you were first talking. So can you repeat, you're talking about a survey? Was a survey that was distributed?
Yeah, so we developed, one of the things we did as part of our objectives and key results was put together a landscape assessment survey to get a feel from the community for who all has attempted or would like to attempt mapping their survey research data to OMOP. So we can get a feel of so basically it gives a feel of tools that might exist that we might not have been aware of, that we can, use and put together as part of it best practices, but also sort of what the needs and interests are in the community as well. So that survey was launched at the end of November, and we didn't get great responses. We got about 4 responses, and I think most of those were from were internal to this group and the work they've done with surveys.
Did you post that on the vocabulary listserv
I
at
did
all?
post it to the vocabulary listserv. I did go to one of the vocabulary meetings and talk about it. And then,
Okay.
of course, and it's been shared on the community calls like the whole month of December.
Okay. Okay. And have you talked to Andrew Williams at Tufts?
Yeah, so Andrew Williams did respond to me, and he and the group he's been working with would like to come talk. I tried to get something scheduled before break, but I couldn't get a hold of him. So I'm gonna, now that I think most people are back in the office, I'm gonna try to get a hold of Andrew again to set that up.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I'm part of Andrew's group, so that's the psychiatry working group, and we
Oh,
have
great.
been, yeah, so we've been doing a lot of work around assessments, and then I'll just add too that so my background, most of my research has been in psychometric assessments, so it's not not the whole broad spectrum of surveys and questionnaires, but more focused on psychological assessments. And and it sounds like, so you work in cancer research, and man, I know there's assessments being used by so many different groups. SNOMED. So I co-chair the SNOMED Mental and Behavioral Health Working Group, and we are doing so we recognize that there's like a lot of other working groups that were also, they had needs around survey instruments, which
Hmm.
in SNOMED, the semantic type that SNOMED uses is staging. It's in their staging and scales hierarchy, and then they have this high
Okay.
level concept called assessment scales, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah, thank you, Piper. Appreciate that. And yeah, at the beginning when your audio wasn't working, I was asking you to like introduce yourself. So I'm really
Oh,
glad you ended up being able to do that and your audio is working. So I appreciate
okay.
you sharing that and joining our group. So yeah, that's helpful. Like I said, Andrew did reach out, so I will try to get something scheduled for him and anybody he's worked with to share their experiences. Um, the nice thing about the survey is that it gets us in a form we can sort of collate things and get a feel
Mhm.
for um, patterns or what the majority people care about or dealing with. Um, so yeah, so it'd still be nice to get those too. But yeah, I think I'm happy to share out directly with working groups or visit with other working groups about it. Maybe your working group would be a good group to talk to. Um, and yeah, see if we can't get this a little bit more widely distributed.
Yeah, yeah. And so this working group is you're focusing mostly on how do we represent assessments and surveys in OMOP.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So also there's an HL7 working group. It's actually a behavioral health working group, but they're working on um fire resources for various
Hmm.
assessments. So I'm sure you're familiar with them, just to sort of connect all the dots of the various groups and different organizations that are working on this. So, and if you want, Nicole, I can send contact information to put you in contact with the person that's leading that
Oh yeah, that would
group.
be great.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Piper. I'm so glad you joined us this morning. All right, so I think we have a plan to go ahead and keep the survey open for a couple more weeks. I will reach out to some additional groups per Brandy and Piper's recommendations, and hopefully we'll get a few more blanks filled in, because what I'd really like to be able to do is collate the information from the surveys and use that to help set our priorities for 2025 as we're working on our OKRs for this year. So if there's nothing else about the landscape survey, I just wanted to talk about our next upcoming meeting. But I'll pause to see if there's anything else anybody wanted to talk about before that. Okay, so we actually have a speaker scheduled for the January 20th meeting, which that I realized later is Martin Luther King Day, which is a federal holiday. So I know a lot of this group has off that day. Lots of times I just cancel for the federal holidays, but I would like to reschedule, both because it'd be nice to hear from the speaker, who I'll talk about in a minute, but also because I kind of like to get some momentum going at the beginning of the year. And I suspect we're going to have the same issue happen next month with President's Day. So what I was wondering is if people are generally available at this time on Monday, and I could try to reschedule it for maybe the Monday of the 27th, or next week, the 13th. Are there any thoughts to what might be better? Those both work. Okay, thanks, Tamara. And I appreciate your snow duty, childcare duties. I know a lot of us are blanketed with snow right now. Great.
Thanks. Yeah, it's really spectacular. We haven't had a snowstorm this big for like 8 years, so my kids are going crazy.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, ours is, we had only got about 7 inches of snow, but we got a lot of ice. We actually had a plow get stuck on our road this morning, which I felt like was not a good sign.
Oh no, that's if the plow can't get through, what hope do the
Yeah.
rest of us have?
Yeah, and I almost feel like it was a mistake, because last night they were plowing the snow, and then we got all this ice on top of it, and you can't really plow the ice. So I think they basically just made it
Yeah,
slippier, more
they turned it
slick.
into a skating rink.
Yeah, pretty much. So, okay, so I see this. Okay, so I'll see what I can get scheduled then, so we can have this meeting. So the person who's going to be speaking with us is Jaya. He's an expert in AI, and he does a lot of work with our data science group, as well as with some other cohort studies like generations. And so he's developed some tools that he basically has under the umbrella of ePharmony, that are very helpful for trying to do mapping between and among studies. So this is something that I think would help us in general, and could also be helpful to share out with a larger community, and maybe be part of what we end up sharing out eventually as tools and best practices for trying to use OMOP with assessment and survey data. So I will reach out to him and see if he has a preference for either of those 2 days, and then hopefully get that scheduled. And in the meantime, like I said, I'll follow through with further distributing the landscape assessment, and also get Andrew Williams' group scheduled, so we can continue to gather a little bit more information before we make decisions for our OKRs for 2025. So that's the last I had of business for this meeting. Is there anything anyone else wanted to discuss? All right, well, thank you everyone for joining this morning. I hope everyone is staying safe and warm, and I'll see you in another week or two. Thanks. Bye.
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 Bye.